I had the privilege of going to Nepal last year and meeting Karuna, and someone came to cook my breakfast each morning, and I didn't realise it was Karuna's husband. And Karuna has a link with CMS, and her husband do too, and it's very special to actually have met them and to realise the quality of this family. Her brother is here; he's the principal of another school, and Kiran, and we have other members of that group of consortium of schools in Kathmandu. So there is one book on this table by a man called Dr. Bruce Nichols on Muslims, and I put it there because he wants to sell it, but he has a good link with these folk, and we also have had a link, an ongoing link with you, and want to perhaps ask you some questions, the same as we asked Francis. So the first one is, tell us a bit about yourself. I've said already something, but there's more to what you're doing, and maybe a little bit about as a mum, you know, and what Langham Partnership means within all of that in terms of your study.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and greetings from Nepal. And I'm Karuna, and serving in Nepal Theological College in Kathmandu since 2017. And me and my husband, both of us, are teaching in the Bible school. We have two kids. Ashriel is 10 years old, and Adriel is 2 years old now. And so being a mom and studying is difficult. But what I feel is that it's not impossible because you are not just studying for yourself, but you are studying for the community that you have, for the impact that you will do to the people. So presently, I'm also serving as a woman dean in the college. And apart from that, I'm also involved in some kind of personal counseling to people who need help, and also to a particular home who have abused children, especially girls, children. So I go and provide trauma counseling to them. I have strongly felt the contribution of Langham in my life, because as Brother Francis was saying, that without Langham Partnership, it would have been very difficult to bring my dream come true. I always, as a child, always had a desire to study in OCMS because my father had graduated from there. And I used to say that to my father, that how are you doing it? And he said, one day the time will come when you also will, try for that. And it was Langham who really provided that platform where I could go and study and impact and equip myself so that I can be an impact to people around me, especially to the women who really have desire to pursue theological education.
So what's your subject? What's your thesis?
I'm looking at intercaste marriage among Nepali Christian. We have a caste system in our country, and it's very strong, even in the church, especially when it comes to marriage. We have people come together for fellowship, people come together. They are one in church, in fellowship, in house fellowship. They even take part in Holy Communion together and have that unity. But when it comes to marriage, people still have some kind of sentiments and some kind of preference to their own community, to their own caste. My husband is from India and I'm from Nepal, and people always ask me that, from which caste does your husband belong? And that was a question which always arose in my mind. I'm like, which caste do I say? Because he never writes his caste. But people look at me and then look at him and say that there must be some caste. So for Nepalese people, caste plays a very important role, because when we write our name, we write our surname. If the family name is the caste that we belong to. So even if we tell if I say that I'm Karuna, they won't accept. They'll ask, tell me your full name. And once I tell my full name, they know from which caste I belong. So people, the churches in Nepal have all the caste background people, right? There are people who are from lower caste, people who are from higher caste. Usually marriage takes place between the higher caste or the touchable caste, but there are very rare marriages which takes place between the touchables and untouchables. And if they get married, there are a lot of challenges that they undergo. So I'm just looking at what are some of the challenges that this intercaste married couples faces, and how they have affected their own marital life and also their family life. So I'm just looking at that. I'm doing an empirical study where I'm interviewing 20 couples who are from different caste background, particularly from so-called Dalits and non-Dalits background.
You've already mentioned this to some extent, but the impact, what will be the impact long term, do you think, with obtaining your PhD, but also with that subject that you're talking about? What do you have in mind for the future?
As I'm from the counseling department, I did my Master's of Theology in Christian Counseling. So I feel that the research that I'm doing would specifically help the counselors who are dealing with issues of marital issues, which are related to intercaste marriages. And also in a wider sense, it would help the church in Nepal, because the church are very silent about it. They don't want to talk about this issue that is, hidden underneath the carpet. So I want to bring that out. I know it's difficult, but I feel that it would really help and contribute to the church, and that the church will really understand the meaning of oneness, the meaning of equality, and the meaning of loving one another in spite of the caste that they belong.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we wish you God's blessings on all the rest of your work and your family.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, thank you.